Let's make a spring journal. Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. And today you can see in front of me is a patchwork style starts of a journaling cover. So this is a project that I've done quietly without filming, something that I did a while ago when I just got an idea and I couldn't let it go, so I started to sew some scraps together and then I was really pleased with the end result. I've added these little patches on top and the whole thing was put together using a sewing machine. So I'll just show you the basic construction of how I got to this point. I started with this pink rectangle here. So that was the first panel that I did. I then joined it on with this fluffy one here and created my first block. So you'll be able to see where I'm going with this. The next one was this paisley one that I added here. So then that was the block that looked like that. And then I added down this strip here. So it was like that. And this is how it was all sewn together. So it was this one, then this one, then this one, so 3 sewn lines, and then I added the bottom strip on there as well. So that's how I got that panel. You can see here, so to create the longer strips across the bottom, I sewed 2 together and 2 together there. So that's how we did that. And then I've pieced it up here with the different textures they've just gone on. That's the other side of it, so you can see that they were just added on with some variegated thread. So I was just playing around and then I added on this other panel here and then I was adding on these. Now these are nice fabrics that I want to see and I was just having a really nice time putting that together. But here comes the tricky part. I want to turn it into a soft cover journal. So we've got our top layer here, we've got sandwiched in the middle is a wadding or batting layer, and then there's the backing layer there, so that's what makes it a quilt. But this is a junk journal. These were junk scraps of fabric, although they're beautiful. They are from my collection, my supply, but they are also clutter and scraps. Now as this isn't a quilt and it's going to become a book cover, I don't need it to go through the wash, and so the inside here, the padding part, is actually packaging. So that is this foam packaging that you can sometimes get. Here you can see I've saved some lengths in this old shirt packet and it's got a little hook there where it allows me to hang it up in a cupboard. So that is very useful just to have a little bit of that. Then you can have padded texture added to your journals and it costs you nothing because it's a free supply through the door. All right, so the tricky challenge here is to now turn this into a journal cover. This is really large. It's 11 inches down here by 20.5 inches across. So that's 28 centimeters down and 52 centimeters across. But I may cut it down because what I want to do is have this bit that folds in as a pocket. So actually it's going to be about 17 inches across there, and that's going to be the cover. It's going to be a large one, much larger than the journaling pages that I've got for this month. Look, you can see, but that's okay because I've got an idea. I'm going to adapt it. I love that. I love the challenge. The next thing is to add a bit of structure, and I'm going to use a file folder, and that's going to determine how much I've got to play with here. What I'm going to do is cut off this portion, the bit that sticks out, and I'm going to stick it there, and I'm going to trim this down so that it fits into my 11-inch width. So here's the one that I'm working with at the moment. I've filled the gap with the little bit that was on that side, and I've just put some tape there to keep it in place. I've got an overhang of about 1/2 centimetre, 1/4 of an inch, like that, and then I'll bring it up a little bit, and then this is where I will eventually have my pocket turning round. That'll be a tuck at the back. So what I want to do is I want to have 3 signatures into this journal, and I've got enough lines in there. This is halfway mark here, and then I've got the score lines which were already on a file folder, so we already have 3 score lines, so I've added another one. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 score lines, and I'd like perhaps a few more. Now what I want to do is just a few more score lines, but I don't have a proper long scoreboard. I've just got this, so all I'm doing is just using what I've got until it comes off the edge there, and I'll do another one because I just think you can't have enough as it bends round, so don't worry if it comes off. I will go round the other way. So I'm just doing a few more. So from the center fold, we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. So I'm just putting in a few more, just following on what was already there. Then I'm spinning it around, putting it down there, and then just bringing those up. We just put those in there so that they meet up, and that's just how I'm working it with this very small envelope. This was an envelope maker, and if I didn't have that board, I'd just be measuring it out with a ruler and using maybe a biro that is no longer works, and I would just be scoring it like that, just making sure that I hold it in place. So I'll put in another one there, and I'll put in another one there. Now I've got this lovely flexible part in the spine, and because this is all going to be fabric, it's going to hold it in. So now I'm putting my ruler on the score line, and I'm just bending that up all the way along. So now that is a lovely rounded journal spine. Okay, and what I want to do is get 3 signatures in there. So I will be binding one in the middle, and then I want to have a nice gap either side, so I will be putting it in. So let's just have a look. So the spine that I've got here is about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. Okay, so I will be having a signature here, one in the middle, and one here, nice and evenly spaced out, probably on the 1 inch, 2 inch and 3 inch mark, and that just makes things nice and simple for the maths and the measuring, for which I will not be doing. So I will just now guesstimate it, knowing full well that I've got plenty of space there for 3 signatures, and then these will be my page widths, which will come from here, and then there will be a little bit extension out, so that will be a nice lovely page. So you can see that that's what the journal will be like, nice big one this time. And I'm going to be using the pages that I've been sent from my swap partners over the next few months. They will all come and live in here as well. There'll be shorter pages and there'll be longer pages. I want to amalgamate the two and make one super journal that I'm really going to enjoy over the next 3 months. Now I'm bringing in a top cover. This is a piece of fabric that has previously been dyed with fabric dye, a very old project. I've got no need for it. It's going to look great as the inside of this journal. It's all in the pink tones, and by the time I finish putting extra things in there, we'll just see some of the colours peeping through. So what I want is it only to go up to there, so I actually wouldn't need that amount. So let's bring it this way. Okay, so I will be bringing that round, and then the purples and the pinks will match in. So that's the plan there, a little bit pink this time round, but we're embracing the colour because it's something that I have in the craft room. I don't always know what to do with it, so I just thought, you know, let's just have pink. Let's just embrace it. Let's just stop shying away from it, and let's do a bit of grunge meets pink and just do it. And it's something that I need to get out of my system. So we're doing that. So I'm going to rip this down like that, so that is now covering what it needs to on this piece here. Okay, so I have put Fabri-Tac glue all the way along there. So I'm just adding in this sheer floaty fabrics, the sort of thing that you might wear on a blouse or something in the summer. And this is how it's looking so far with this little peep through. This edging will be hidden by some more trim, so I'll have to find something else. I'm going to take this lace here, I think that I've got these on sticks. If you haven't seen how I've done this, there's how I organise things. There's some videos. I wouldn't know that I'm the best person to take advice from, but I do have a few little ideas, and this is how I store some of the lace. And that goes in a pencil case, particularly the ones that I don't use all the time. So I'm not worried about this one because it's going to come in, so I haven't put that round there. I'm just going to add in some here just so it peeps out. So I'm just going to run with it because this is going to be forming part of the story of this journal. It is a little bit girly and there is a reason for that. The cover is going to be a bit of a facade. It is hiding a much more dark story. Okay, this is my lace going down here, but don't panic, it's not going to be all frilly and lacy, it's just a little hint, a little peep through, and then this is all going to get sewn in, and then I'm going to go over the top with another trim to hide in this scrappy edge. And this is a feminine journal, but it's also going to be very much about historic botanics, and this is where this is going to be going, so it's a nature journal of sorts. Now the next thing I'm doing is gluing in my file folder. I'm doing it in sections. It doesn't matter if there's lots of glue on here, the more the merrier actually, because I need this to stick down. It's not going to seep through because we've got 3 layers of fabric there already. So I am just going around the edges on this one panel. I'm going to then fold it over. Alright, that's great. And then I'm going to go the same on this side. Just gluing this down. Okay, and then the same with this one, so I've gone all the way around, just sticking that down. So I'm just putting this wet glue all the way around here because I want my fabric to sit there, and I'm just using this spreader so that it spreads out without leaving a pool of glue that will soak through to the fabric. Now I can put half of the fabric over. Okay, that's great. I'm just using this wet fabric glue that I've got. I'm using Power Fuse by Fabri-Tac, just using that up. It's a good glue. It works really well, but it is very runny. So this is a nice application for it. Just as long as I spread that out, it dries really quickly. So there we go, it just becomes like a very thick paste. And this is great because we haven't had to use any tape in this project. So that is now down. Just trimming away that so that it doesn't add extra unnecessary bulk when I go and fold this over. Okay, it's the next day. I let everything dry overnight and I have sewn around. So I've sewn all the way around to capture it in. So just to say, I've sewn round. You don't need to sew, you can use the Fabri-Tac and that will be fine. And what I'm just doing now is attaching this ribbon over the top of my sewing to hide it. If you don't like sewing, if you haven't got a sewing machine, don't need one. You just use the good strong fabric glues. Now this is haphazard and cobbled together, and that's exactly the feel that I want, and I've enjoyed doing it. Okay, so this is how it's looking on the back. I've put this ribbon across here and I'm just going to tack that bit down there with Fabri-Tac, and I've done that on the back, and I've done a bit down there as well, just using ribbon, just using fabric, rip-torn fabric scraps. Then we've got this rather bizarre pink inner lining, which is fine because I'm going to have other things going over the top, so it doesn't matter what fabric this was. Just wanted enough of the colour to match in with what's on the front, so pinks and purples and blues. Then I've got this pocket which is going to fold over. I've just glued on some file folder card, so I just cut a strip there and I've lined that. And because we had 3 layers here, one of which was that foam inner, this bit here, I've just pulled that out, so it is just those 2 cotton pieces now, and it's not quite so puffy, which is fine because then that comes round and that makes it flatter. So I've got that. What I wanted when I bring this round is I'm going to put a lace on there, and I've just found this, and I think that the navy will go. So that will be how that finishes it off, like that. And I'm either going to glue it or sew it down there to create this little tuck. But I thought it would be nice to have a second one as well. The idea is here I've cut this shorter length. Here this is about 2.5 inches, and I'm just going to put a bit of stick glue down there so that I can put this on here. And then what I've got now is a panel that will come and be in here, and then I'll have a pocket or a tuck there and then a deeper one behind, so it gives me 2 spaces to store things. If you're enjoying the construction of this soft cover and you'd like to have a go, I have a 4-part tutorial in my playlist for the French Linen Botanical Journal. You can go back and have a look at that, and it is a really slow, step-by-step. You can craft along with me on the 4-part journal series there for the French Linen Botanical Journal. So just have a look at the playlist and you can go back and watch how I did that. And it's a very lovely, lovely, lovely journal full of really nice stories about botanical plant hunters as you go through the series. That's this one. This is the French Linen Botanical Journal. I made this in 2022. Really lovely, lovely wrap round, made in exactly the same way. This one only has 2 signatures in it, but it does have this folio here. And this was a lovely gentle make. There's 46 videos in the playlist, and the first 4 are exactly how I made it in a step-by-step tutorial and give you all the measurements. So you can watch how all of the pages were constructed, all the stories about the plant hunters, just the wonderful rich botanical history that has affected the entire world, how we're all connected by it. It was really, really lovely. So that was that. So that's all there. And then here at the back is how I did my pockets in a very, very similar way. So it's to house the various cards and things. And I sewed it all on. So I'm just making this in the same way. And then, of course, the last time I had a need to make something pink, we ended up with this botanical journal for Marion North, who was an artist in the 1800s. And this is the inside here. So this is going to be very much linked, and it's going to follow on, although we are going to go back in deeper, darker history than Marion North's times. This is going to be even further back, I think this is going to be more 1700s, but you know, we're not sure. Things are appearing, things are emerging, things are taking place. So you might want to settle into this series of Build a Signature and follow along. You can press the bell icon and you'll be alerted to when the next videos come out. Loads of ideas on how to make an ephemera. I'm sure we'll figure out lots of fun things to do in this one. Okay, so I'm just sticking this down very loosely because I'm going to be sewing around here with the sewing machine, but I could have done more of a gluing task. It's just that with the sewing machine for a video, it actually just secures it a lot quicker for me rather than waiting for the glue to dry. And I can report that this one, Fabri-Tac Power Fuse, it smells really potent. So I'm not saying that that's a great idea. I think PVA glue smeared very, very thinly would have been perfect. You wouldn't need anything fancy. It's just that I'm trying to use this up, but it's got a definite smell to it, and I am quite sensitive to smells, and I don't like it. It's unpleasant. Avoid. So that one's a bit unpleasant, guys, just to let you know. I've also got this fabric which has been previously used as some seam binding, so it's got these edges already ironed over into this shape, and then what I'll do is I'm going to just hook that over here. So the edge will come over and just hide the paper edge there. This could be paper, it could be folded around paper, so we're just wrapping an edge with fabric or wrapping an edge with paper or a softer paper, anything you can get your hands on, and then it's just going to be, it could be glued down there. So once you've folded it around everything, you can then just glue it down. There'll be no need to sew it at all. Alright, so this is how this is going to look. So I just want to tidy that up, and that is going to involve the sewing machine, and then gluing over the top with Fabri-Tac my trim to hide my sewing. So that's what's happening there. I will just go and do that and then I will bring it back and just show you. Okay, here we have it. It is all sewn down and looking rather smart now with 2 pockets. So this is a really lovely example of a soft cover because it's very pliable, very bendable and very rollable even. You're making it more lived in, more huggable, more special, more treasured. So this is how we're looking at the moment. Very pleased with it as it's coming together. And with these journals, we just have to sort of always think that these are evolving. They're not finished, they're not done. There's lots of things that you can do to it and you can stop at any point. So at this point, you could stop, you could think that's lovely. We could even put elastic in it and have some papers and it would be quite a large folder file. Wonderful for holding those larger bits of ephemera paper, especially if we get some things we don't really want to fold them, or nice pages from books. So I thought that this would be a nice idea because I do get a lot of pages and I don't always want to fold them. I like to see them in their larger state. So this is one of the reasons why I'm exploring a larger cover this time round, to be able to house some of the nice papers that I have. I don't always want to fold them. But, you know, this could be made into a much smaller journal. And this, of course, is a really fun idea if you've got any unfinished projects, if you've got any sewing that you don't know what to do with, or you've got a quilt top that you started, or maybe you've been given or you've got in your possession somewhere a table placemat that has got a bit of padding to it that could be folded in half and become a top layer of a journal cover. It's just another idea to have a look at what you've already got. Now, just to recap, everything I've used here is cotton, and you could use any fabric. You could use old t-shirt if you wanted to, because you'd be stabilising that stretch in the fabric by gluing it down to something like a file folder or a cereal packet. And when you have a look at the French linen botanical journal make, that was made by using cereal packaging, so you can definitely do that. So we can see the creases here where I've been bending it around. And also that's fine because what I want to do is add some lace. I know I said not too much lace, but it isn't really because you won't see that much. This is just going to be the peep through between the gap that we will leave in the signatures and then just this fun edging that will be down the side, which sort of mirrors what's happening over here with this darker navy. So hopefully that's picking up, but I'm just going to stick this down. I'm just using my 3-in-1 again and I'm just going to start gluing that down. So I'll just put a nice lot of it down there and then I will spread that out a bit more. So I just spread that out. Now the beauty of that glue is if you get a little bit that comes out the side, anything that you weren't quite happy with, you can roll it off. Anything that's really peeling up a bit too much, I'm just coming down there, sticking that down. I like it to peel up a little bit. I like the idea that the fabric lifts up and is this texture. I like that. So I'm just making sure that it's secure but not rock hard with glue. So I'm not going to trim it, but I am going to sort of pull it a little bit so that I get a frayed edge at the bottom to just hang out, just to peep out, just another level of texture and layering to add in. So that's what this one's all about. Now from here I can sew into this and have the binding on the outside if I want to have it visible, but I don't. I would like to hide it. So what I'm going to do is bring in this trim which I've got, which is also in keeping with the pink theme that I've got going on. It's a really nice vintage style. Well, it could even be vintage, I'm not sure. It's just one of these lovely finds along the way. Haven't used it. It's been sitting in the drawer for years. So it's going to come and be glued down like that when I've got my signatures bound in. So that will be the finishing edging going down there. That's how that will appear. Okay, now in a previous video I alluded to the pile of papers that I've got that I want to put into this journal, and these are the pages. So what I've done is I've hinged them together, putting them all together. So this is quite a chunky signature coming in here, but these are different papers, different paper weights, different textures, different styles. So this is a tracing paper, this is a book page, this is photocopy paper that's been dyed with avocado, then baked in the oven. Lots of different applications. So this is a digital page from Rach and Bella. This is a digital page from Clee Black Creations. Absolutely stunning, both of them, and deserve a place in a botanical themed floral journal. And then I've got some thicker paper. This is like a cartridge paper or artist paper. This was torn, but it had previously been stained with coffee and salt, I think. Coffee and salt, or just the granules of coffee being spread over there, maybe some salt on there. Avocado dye, a lot of avocado dye because I liked the pink tone. That was our flower project, and that was a bright yellow. So I'm hoping throughout this journal I'm also going to be having things like beehives and some bees, because I want to journal about pollinators, because that was our project for this month. And then I've got two sheets which I haven't hinged together, and they are potentially going to be there. And the beauty of hinges is that although I've got two matching pieces of paper, they don't need to be matching. So you can hinge together two totally different pieces of paper, such as this. And so when you go through your signature, you're not always getting the same repeat. Every page is different. That's the beauty of hinges, and that's why I use them. And then also you can get a longer paper attached as well, and then you can just fold it, and when you get that page you can then have an interesting flip out, which is already part of, so that was a book, that was where it was originally bound in, and then I've taken a section away because there was something damaged on there anyway, so I took that away. And then it's really fun to play with the paper sizes. So we've been dealing with an A4 sheet folded in half, but it looks very nice when it's mounted on a larger page, giving it a background. Okay, so you can see how this might work. So this is going to come and live here, and that works beautifully, I feel, with this page, which is slightly tinted. It's very difficult to see now because we're losing the daylight, but there's a slight difference of colour. But yet there's the white here as well, which picks out the beautiful lace and the pearl detail in this piece. It was made for me by my swap partner in March, and that was from Pat Page. It's absolutely stunningly, gorgeously lovely, and framed on the page in this journal like that. So if you're not familiar with a hinge system or a hinge connecting part to your journal, you would just take a strip. This one is 1¼ inches, so that's 3 centimeters across, and you just fold it in half, and that gives you a paper hinge. And then a similar thing if you wanted to use fabric or any other material that you have, so it could be plastic, nothing to stop you using that, providing you can attach it without the glue peeling up. So when you're looking at baking paper, cookie sheets, wax papers, that sort of thing, you might want to sew them because the glue will over time be an issue. So that's a hinge. So all you would do is you would be gluing in one page, and then you would be gluing in another, and you've then got your hinge like I have here. So that's all that happened. I just glued it down, and when you fold it in half and then look on the inside, if you've done it nice and neatly, it should match up and be a fairly good seal. It's great to hide any torn, tattered edges as well. If you've got anything that you're not particularly happy with, it's a great way to heal and mask those. But when you put your next page in, it does just hide that seam, that edge there. You can hide it away. You can put another hinge on the other side or some more fabric if you want to, but all you're doing is then making it very thick here. But that's exactly what we want. If you like to have a mixed media journal, if you like to add things that are a little bit more 3D, or have the freedom to be able to put lots of tags and pockets and interactive parts to your journaling pages, it's quite a nice idea to bring out bulk on the area that goes into the spine. It sort of helps to counteract the stuff that is going to get stuck in. So you can already see that that's quite thick on the spine, but it's thinner here, which is great. That's exactly what we need, and that just helps to alleviate some of the gator mouth that you can get with these journals. But that is part of it, and these are going to be journals that command your attention by the fact that the pages will fan out. There will be stuff that you will see, and you just go with that. You'll decorate that and have fun things just trailing out of it. It's just part of the fun, part of the look, part of the feel. So if that's not for you, then you can definitely do a nice clean cut on an edge and make your journal in the way that you would like to have a journal appear. But this is evolving, and that's the beauty of it. So we just go with our creativity, relax into it, and just see what happens. And one last thing just before you go. I received this from my swap partner and it is perfect, and I am going to glue that there, and then this is all part of the evolution of this journal. I'm going to attach this on there. I'm not just going to glue it on though, it's very, very fragile, and I have found a little scrap, an offcut of Heat and Bond. This is an iron-on glue interface for fabric. There are lots of different products with an iron-on adhesive. You can get fusible fleece, that sort of thing, but I've only got a little scrap, but we are dealing with scraps. So what I will do is I'll cut that for that side, and then I'll cut another length down here for the other side. Okay, here it is. I've come back from the iron, and what I did is I've pieced those two like that. I put it down on a piece of paper onto the ironing board, so brown paper onto the ironing board. I ironed over the top, and then I just peeled it off of the brown paper where it's slightly stuck around the edges. So I'm now going to remove this piece. That's another scrap, and I can use that. You just see there, that's the glue. So it is a see-through layer of iron-on glue. You would just melt that, it melts onto anything. Very, very cool products called Heat and Bond. Quite fun to just have some for any applique applications. So this I can now peel away from the backing. You're probably wondering if you could do this with freezer paper. Well, yes, you can, but then you're going to have the white paper of the freezer paper, and then your plastic bit may not attach over time. So this way we can attach it with the glue. I'll just trim round. That will go on there. I know that that's a good surface, or I can now glue, extra glue on there with the Fabri-Tac if I want to, because it's not going to all come through the net. Alright, so we've got the glue on the back there. I'm going to position my butterfly up there. This will allow for other things to come and be put on here as well as I collect things or see things. I'm just running my hot cordless iron over the top of this, and I'm using this type of glue, this sort of iron-on glue, because I'm also trying to adhere the butterfly to lace and cotton and a wool. This is a wool like a tweed, and lots of different fabrics here, so I just want to not burn anything, but melt that on and just hopefully give myself enough. That bit wants to have a glue there. So I'll bring these back in. I've got an idea for this, which is going to be another video, I think. And then what I want to do is bind these in. That will be my first signature, and then I'm going to have two more. This one's going to be dedicated to flowers, the next one's going to be pollinators, and the third one we don't know yet. That's going to be announced on the 1st of May, what the topic is for that one, and they're all going to come and live in this journal. So this will be the first signature of 3. I'm reluctant to sew it in until I get my next swap, when I'll know what I will be working with, so I'm not ready to sew it in just yet, but I've got that signature all organised. Now here are little embellishments that I've been sent, really, really sweet. This one is a resin button robin, and I think he's going to come and live there. And then this is a butterfly, and I just think that that's great. It's nice and chunky, it's made of wood. So I'm going to put those guys there. But on the back here, I've just got these pliers, and I'm wondering if I can, oh, that, well, yes. So that, I didn't really want to sew it on, and now that's going to fit on there nice and flush. I can glue that on with a good strong glue, and that will be the same for this as well. All over that. I'm just going to add him down there. And the butterfly can come and live there. Now I've also found this lovely little book plate, so I'm wondering whether I would like that, and then that offsets the 3 white things that I've got here. I do want it, I'm just not sure how I'm attaching it, because I'm not sure what I'm going to be putting on the inside. This is going to be covered up partially with something, but I haven't developed that, so I'm going to put this over in my tray and I will figure that out as I go. But I just wanted to show you the process of how I'm getting from A to B with things. They have stuck down instantly, that's looking great. And then there's room to sew, there's room to pin things, there's room to embellish. It's not finished, and it'll, of course, I collect things along the way. I can put in a little stitch there if I feel it needs it, but that's gone on pretty solidly. So there we are. Thank you very much for joining me as I just figure this all out and assemble it. It's always the assembling bit that takes a little bit of thought, but once it's all sewn in, we can then start to enjoy the journal, and stories will emerge, and have fun and play in these wonderful books that we're making together. So if you want to have a go at making your own, then have a look at what scraps you've got. Maybe you've got some old fabrics, perhaps table placemats you can use, or anything that you might find, old clothing. Just look at your scraps in a different way and patchwork them together, and that would be great if it was paper as well. And you can have a play around with doing a soft cover using just a flexible cardstock in there, and layering it up with lots of different textures and materials. So you can see there's lots of texture going on, and it's a nice squudgy tactile journal emerging, and we will find out more about this journal as it evolves. So do please give me a thumbs up if you'd like to see more of this, and do of course subscribe to the channel if you are a regular watcher here. That would be wonderful, and it would help the channel to grow, which would be awesome, and keep these videos coming a little bit more regularly. So thank you very much for your time, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next video. So thank you for watching. Above everything else, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.